we are on the live stream. There's the camera, so make sure to behave yourselves because your mothers and grandmothers are watching.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, right. Hey, let me check on
Hi, Grandma. How's happening? Marco right now. Alright,
How do we get on? How do we get on today?
We should start this one.
Okay, gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started. Everybody got 8 hours of sleep guaranteed last night, right? That's in the Constitution. What's the Constitution? You get 8 hours of sleep. Okay. My name is Joe McCrae. We're going to be here with the legislative process. Little camera up here is being streamed, so
Hi, Mom.
wave to mom and dad. It's around the state, around the world, even in Russia. Okay? Yeah. So be careful, they may want to hack us. Where were you yesterday? Judicial. Okay. You'll hear, today we'll talk about the legislative branch, you'll be executive, and then electoral in the next couple days. I know you've been in classes for the last 36 weeks. Just what you want to do is sit in another class, but we'll try to make this as interesting as possible. And hopefully you'll be able to pick up a couple things about the legislature, or maybe a couple of trivia things that you can use down the road. Start with the judicial branch. What's their power? Interpret the law. Okay, interpret the law. You got 9 justices, making about $175,000 a year, which isn't much for a lawyer, at least at their caliber. And they're interpreting the law. You get arrested, you go to court, okay? Let's say you're found guilty. Let's use criminal. You do the same thing with civil law. You're found guilty. That's not fair. So you appeal. From that point on, they don't care whether you're guilty or innocent. The only thing they care about is were your constitutional rights violated. And you get to the Supreme Court, same thing. That's it. You may have killed 137 people. Those 9 people sitting there could care less. Did you get a fair trial? Was the Constitution violated? And if it was, boom. Okay, they're not going to set you free. They just kick it back to the court, get a retrial. Okay, you heard a lot of that yesterday. So they interpret the law. On the executive side, what do? Enforce the law. Enforce the law. Okay, the president enforces the law. Now, every president probably, there's been at least one case where, no, you know, and we didn't pay any attention to it. I mean, Clinton, Bush, Obama, just to name the last 3. There were times when there were some laws that weren't enforced. They just kind of let it slide. I can give you 2 quick examples. In the 1820s, gold was discovered down in the Georgia area on the land of the 5 civilized tribes. Okay? And they were called the civilized tribes because they were trying to assimilate into the white man's culture, dressed like the white man did. Okay, went to school. The president, you know, the whites were moving in, trying to claim the land. They went to court. The 5 civilized tribes got to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, it's your land. Okay, they cannot take it from you. The president said, oh crud, we can't let that happen. He didn't enforce the law. So he sent troops in, rounded up as many as he could, and started moving in west in the famous Trail of Tears. Okay, the Trail of Tears. Skip to the 1950s, Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay, the Supreme Court in the mid-1950s said separate is not equal. Okay, so 9 young black students went to enroll at Little Rock High School. The governor of Arkansas said, over my dead body. Sent the National Guard in, stop them. President was Eisenhower. He had a decision to make. Okay? He made the decision. One day, the National Guard was keeping the 9 black students out of school. He federalized them. The next day, they were federal troops. Now they had to protect them so they could get into school. Now that was a bad situation because they were Arkansas people in the National Guard. So after I don't remember exactly, a week to 10 days, the President sent in the 101st Airborne Division. And that settled things down real quick. Okay, I don't know anything about the military in the 101st Airborne Division, but they don't take any crap. Okay? And so for the next year, they were there in Little Rock, okay, and the 9 black students then went to school, okay, and finished. Can't remember, 2 or 3 of them were seniors and graduated. The others were freshmen, sophomores, juniors. But it would be tough. Can you imagine having the army at your school every single day? But enforce the law, okay? And what we're going to talk about today then is the legislature. BC a little bit, because yeah, they have some impact on us, but it's Springfield that has the real impact on us, okay? What we can and cannot do. And particularly people your age, you may not realize it, but the state legislature, General Assembly, has a lot of power over schools particularly. And the legislature's power is what? Make the laws, okay? Make the laws. I did a little checking a couple years ago in Congress in a 2-year period, because you have sessions, okay? In a 2-year period in Washington, D.C., 10,000 bills were introduced. Okay? With the hope of becoming laws. 10,000 in 2 years. 158 were passed. 112 became law. So you're talking barely 10% of the bills that are introduced actually become a law. Okay? Which is probably a good thing because most people think we have too many laws anyway. And as a result, we need to have less. Some other powers besides making law, approve treaties. In the history of the United States, well, I don't know if it's but one, the major one. One treaty that was signed that never, by the president, that was never approved by the Senate was
Treaty of Versailles.
very good. You're on a roll today. Treaty of Versailles. President Wilson, at the end of World War I, gathered up some congressional leaders, some senators, and said, hey, let's go to Paris and have some fun, and we'll sign a treaty. Unfortunately, the president didn't take the right senators. There were some of them left back home. They didn't think that was right. They wanted to have some fun, partying on the taxpayer money. He went over there, he signed it, came back home and said, hey guys, here it is. Okay, approve it. And they're going, no, we're not going to. He said, well, you have to. No, we don't. Okay, we're the Senate. We don't have to do it. And didn't. So in the end, we signed separate peace treaties with Germany, Hungary, Turkey, maybe one more Bulgaria or somebody. But, okay, and actually, technically, World War I for the United States went on to about 1921, 1922 when all the treaties were signed. If sent to the states out of Congress, amendments. Okay, and we'll talk about that when we get to the state legislature. How many of you can name the state, our U.S. senators? Who's one?
Dick Durbin.
Dick Durbin. Who's the other one? Okay, Tammy Duckworth was just elected. What do you know about Tammy? Anything? Well, okay. Why doesn't she?
She's a veteran.
Okay, she is a veteran. Okay, she is a veteran, and lost her legs in the war on terror. Okay, but I don't know that much about her. She's just been in office for a few months, so we'll see how she does. But, okay, now if you're a senator, you got some safety. How long is the term for a senator? 6 years. So once you get elected, you're a little bit safe. You don't have to worry about getting reelected right away. You must be how old? 30. Live in the state of Illinois 9 years. Okay? Let's say you don't want to. You turn 30. By God, I want to be a senator, but I don't know if I want to be from Illinois. I've only lived here a couple years. Where can I go that has less? Well, I'll give you a hint. New York. Go to New York. The residency requirement. You must be in the state of New York the day of the election. Okay? And that's it. You're going. Now, realistically, do you believe that if you want to run for the senator of the state of New York, do you just show up on election day, you can get elected? Somebody did. Okay. Hillary Clinton. Now, she campaigned and stuff, but she hadn't lived in New York more than a few months. I think, in fact, she got a hotel room and set up her campaign headquarters and stuff and ran and won. Okay? Pick your place. Depending on what party you're from, okay? Pick the place, the state that you want to run in. Okay? A Democrat running in let's use Missouri as this last election, you're sucking air because you're not going to win. The last election in Missouri, if you were Republican, you were safe. If you were a Democrat, it wasn't going to happen. Okay. You're going to make some money, $175,000 a year. Pretty good money. Not if you're a senator. Every senator, all 100 senators are at least millionaires. And some of them are 100 millionaires, okay? They are known as the Millionaires Club. They have all kinds of money, okay? So the $175,000 is pretty much meaningless to them, okay? Let's go to the House side. How many of you know who your House representative is in Washington, D.C.? Not many hands going up, okay? Who's from Peoria? Who's your senator, or your representative?
Darren LaHood.
Okay, Darren LaHood. Darren. Ray, his dad, and I went to grade school and high school, okay, together. And then a few years later, they shut the high school down. Where do you go to high school?
I go to Dunlap.
Dunlap, okay. Have you ever heard of Spalding?
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, that's where I went to school. Nice all-boys school. You go, ooh, crap, all-boys school. Eh. Right across the street was an all-girls school, so it was and then they shut it down. Same thing for a representative. How old do you need to be a representative? Okay, 25. Here the people from Peoria may, or from at least the Peoria area may recognize this. How many of you would like to be a politician, run for office and do things? Not too many, okay? Of course, if you raise your hand, most people would, the first question they would ask you is, why do you want to be a politician? In today's world, they are way down on the bottom as far as popularity, okay, for a variety of reasons. But good people in politics, we need them, okay? At 8, he wanted to be a politician. At 18, he ran for the Peoria School Board and won. At 19, he ran for the head of the school board and won. At 22, he ran for state representative and won. At 25, he ran for the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. and won. And you're going, 25 years old, you're a representative in D.C. Okay? At about 27, he was being arrested or investigated because of gifts that he received. He decorated his congressional office like Downton Abbey. I've never watched the show, but I've heard about it. And he resigned. Who am I talking about?
Aaron Schock.
Aaron Schock, okay. Too much, too fast. You're 25 years old and somebody says, hey, how'd you like to fly up to Chicago with us to go to a go to a Cubs game? How'd you like to go to a Bears game? How would you like to do this or that? Yeah, that's cool, okay. You gotta watch out, okay, of how how you get your gifts. There are limits. A very good friend of mine was elected as a representative out of Chicago a few years ago, and he explained to me fundraising. Typically, to run for the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C., it will take approximately $3 million. Now, the representative gets $175,000. There are representatives that are millionaires. Michael was not. In fact, his 2 years in office, he slept in his office. In the Capitol, well, not in D.C., in his office in one of the buildings, the Rayburn building or one of the representatives' buildings. It's fairly common for representatives to get together, rent an apartment, 3 or 4 of them, because that's all D.C. is expensive. Okay, $3 million to get a $175,000 job, and I'm not a math major, but we sat down and figured it out. In order to raise that, because longevity in office is kind of short for a representative. How long? 2 years. You need to raise $5,000 a day. Now think about that. How many of you fundraise for your various activities that you're in? Selling candy bars, selling junk that your mom and dad don't really want, but they're supporting it. $5,000 a day. Let's have a fundraiser, we'll have a dinner. Okay, hey, we made 5,000, what about tomorrow? And you can't do it from your office. Hey, this is Joe Craig, I'm sitting here in my office in the Rayburn building, wanting to see, need a campaign contribution. That's illegal. You have to be outside of your office, somewhere else, okay, if you're gonna call. But to me, and I'm not rich, not even close, but to me, just $5,000 a day, I can't fathom that, trying to raise that. Okay, to get a $175,000 job for 2 years. And as soon as you get elected, what do you start doing? Campaigning again, because it's only 2 years. I mean, next year at this time, we're getting ready for another election. Okay? And we get tired of those elections after a while. Okay? How about the state? Now, the state, Springfield, affects us a lot more. And of course, in Illinois, we're sucking air anyway because we set a record. I know you've all heard it. 3 years without a budget. No state in the country has ever done that before. Okay, and it's ongoing. It isn't over. Yes, sir.
I don't quite understand how this budget thing works.
I'm not sure, well, I'm right there with you, I'm not completely sure how it does either. They pay some of the bills, they don't pay all the bills. I read in the paper, getting off track just a little bit, Springfield Light and Power Company, the state of Illinois owes them something like $30–40 million over the past 3 years because they have not paid for all the electricity being used by government buildings in Springfield. Which to me would be real simple. Turn the lights off. Okay, in government buildings. Oh, now we got a problem. I guess, and this is me, I can get on the soapbox a little bit, but I would say, you know what, senators, representatives, you're not doing your job until you get a budget. We're not paying you either. Okay? Which many of them would slow down and go, okay, we need to do something. But anyway, okay, what power does the state have? A little harder question. What power does the state have?
I can create laws for its own people.
Well, yeah, that's true, but broader than that.
All powers not granted to the federal government.
Okay. All powers that aren't specifically mentioned in the Constitution go to the state. Okay? Can states print money? No, because it said, okay. And really, would you want them to? I mean, here, we're close to Indiana. Let's take a vacation, head over to Indiana. So we cross into Indiana. Oh, crap, we got to get Indiana money. So, okay, here's Illinois money. Give me some Indiana money. Now, this was the way it was until recently. Well, I say recently. It's been a while. In Europe, every country you went to had a different coinage. They went to the euro, and which solves some problems. I guess the only major country in Europe that doesn't use the euro is England. Yeah, England. They have their own funny money. Pound and shilling and all these different things. What is this stuff? But anyway, okay. So money. Some things that they can do are maintain a state militia. Well, we're setting up the 51st state. Some of you in here, how many of you are in the militia? Okay. For those that aren't sure what the militia are, they're the ones out in front leading us in passing review and doing all the other things, okay, for the militia. Other things, maintain schools. The Brown versus Topeka Board of Education, one of the main things that it said that the most important thing that a state does is educate its citizens. And separate but equal is not right, is not equal, therefore, okay? So educate. If they're sent to, states can amend the Constitution, okay? You can have the Congress can submit a resolution to amend the Constitution. And then it will be sent to the states, or if a bunch of states get together, you can have, they can start it. But the bottom line is, interestingly, over the course of our history, the Constitution people have tried to amend the Constitution close to 11,000 times. 11,000. How many times has it been changed? 27. And really, if you knock out the early ones right away, how many are left? 17 over 200 years. And then, if you knock out two more, one that said, no, you can't do this, and the other one said, yeah, you really can, which was prohibition. We're down to 15 changes in the Constitution, basically, in the last 100 years. Okay? So, we don't like to tamper with that. But states, okay, are the ones that would have to change it. You would have to get 3/4 of the states in order to do this. Okay, pressure's on. How many of you know your state senator? One person actually knows the name of the state senator. And that's not unusual. I'm not criticizing him. That's not unusual. Okay? Huh? I don't know. It depends on where you're living. Okay? Okay? How many know your state representative? Okay, a few more. See, because it's a smaller group. Okay? Not quite as many. As I said, you must be 21, okay, to run for office in the state, okay, to be a state rep or a state senator, which is on the upside. Illinois has some of the highest paid state officials, senators and representatives. They make about minimum $60,000 a year. And you're thinking, that's not too bad a salary, but think, how long do they work? January to about June. 60,000. What do they do the rest of the year? Well, they're out campaigning, but they can have a second job. Okay? Some of them are attorneys or doctors, so they go back during the summer and the rest of the year. Okay, do what they need, and then come back. Now, sure, they have to campaign some and keep on people's mind, but okay, they can handle that. They determine, when I said, okay, they impact your lives. The state, in picking on, okay, teenagers, they determine how old you have to be to drive. They can get in there and go, okay, man, these young kids, 16, 17, 18-year-olds are flat out there tearing highways up, killing each other. Let's raise the drivers like you can't drive till you're 18. That's not right. Hey, go to Texas, you can drive when you're 14. Okay, so there you go. But that's something. They can change high school graduation requirements. The state sets the minimum number of credits and courses that you need to graduate. Now, the school board can change that. They can raise it, and most of them do. Okay. Just recently, within the last year or two, the state passed a law that said you have to take 2 years of social studies, and 1 semester has to be civics. How many of you taken civics? I guess I should ask how many of you haven't taken civics. Okay? That's the law. Now, it may not affect you because usually it's in the incoming freshman class. Okay? But depending on how they worded it, some of you going into your senior year may have to take physics and pass it, or you can't graduate. Okay? But that's how the Springfield affects you. Okay? Now, we've been talking about the legislature makes the laws. Okay? So, let's go through the process. Who wants to volunteer? Okay, come on up. Atlanta Falcons. Why did they lose that Super Bowl game? I was cheering for them. I was hoping they were going to win. Boy, that last quarter is. Plan not to lose instead of trying to win. Okay, name.
Hector Leon.
Hector, okay, you want to be a senator? Where are you from?
Like here.
No, real life.
Granite City.
Granite, oh, down around Springfield, or St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Hector, you want to be a senator or a representative?
Senator.
Okay, always a smart dude, okay? There's less of them, they're more important. Okay, Hector is a senator, and he wants to introduce a bill that he hopes will become a law, okay? Let's use Illinois, okay? In the state of Illinois. Now be thinking about this because we need a bill, okay? What do you want to change? You can help him out, give him suggestions of should we change in the state of Illinois.
Illinois roads. Infrastructure.
What, shut them down?
If I got any suggestions, like actually did.
State representative and senators not get taped until the budget's passed.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. No pay for elected officials until a budget is passed, okay? So Hector writes it up, and truthfully, that has been introduced in the General Assembly in Springfield. It didn't go anywhere because who's voting on this? The same people that could lose their pay, but okay. So Hector introduces it. You have a friend in the House? Okay, good answer, because the thing is, if you want to get, if you're hoping to get it kind of through quickly, then you get somebody in the House to introduce the same bill. Because before it can become a law, both the House and the Senate have to pass it. Okay? So Hector, he's introduced the bill. It's read 3 times, and then what happens next? What's the next step in it becoming a bill? Nobody?
They vote have all the revised.
No voting yet. Yes, there you go, there's the winner. It's assigned to a committee. You have several committees in the House and several committees in the Senate, and senators and representatives are appointed to 2 or 3 committees. It will go to this committee. The committee will hold hearings. Hector will get in there and say why he thinks this is a good bill. And they will then have other people come in, sometimes experts, just sometimes ordinary people speaking, pro and con. Who would be for this bill? The citizens, okay? And who else? Yeah.
Like maybe like the Board of Education, like teachers or something.
Very good. Board of Education, the AFT, the NEA, or whatever, the teachers' organizations, because schools are getting hit. There's some talk that, not a lot, but a few schools in the state of Illinois, come August or the 1st of September, may not open because they don't have money. Now, how would you like to be going to a school that said if you're a senior going, I'm a senior, this is it, great. We're not going to open this year. What? Well, how am I going to graduate? Go to another school. Or you're going to have to sit out a year. And that's a real possibility for a handful of schools in the state of Illinois because of lack of money. So good answer, okay? The superintendents, the school boards, all these various people coming in saying, hey, we think this is great. Get a budget done. Grow up, get us a budget. Okay? Anybody else? Yeah.
Like municipalities that are getting funding for infrastructure?
Absolutely. Municipalities that aren't getting funding for education, or for the money. Somebody asked about the roads, okay? Things, not so much, because a lot of it's federal money and a little bit of state money, but in towns and in areas where they need, state help, okay? These kinds of things. Okay, so there's some pros, and the senators are listening to this. How about cons? Who's against this? the senators and representatives. Of course, they don't need anybody to sit in front, they're sitting there going, if we can vote on this and pass it, we're not gonna get paid until we get something done. I don't know if I wanna do this, okay? So, go with that, they're against it, okay? So it's kind of weighted. Now, once the committee goes to this closed session, they're gonna vote. Okay, how are we gonna vote? It can come out of committee one of four ways, really. It comes out of the committee and sent to the House, the floor of the Senate with a favorable recommendation. Or it comes out with an unfavorable recommendation. Or it comes out with we don't care what you do, no recommendation. Or, and this is what happened actually, it didn't come out of committee. It just died there. But let's give Hector a chance, okay? It comes out of committee, it goes to the floor of the Senate with, now let's say, and the thing is, 99%, or I should say 95% of the time, however it comes out of committee, if it comes out with a favorable recommendation, it will pass. If it comes out with an unfavorable, it will not pass, okay? Let's say it comes out with a favorable recommendation. So, now the senators are hearing from the citizens back home. This is a great bill, you need to vote for it. Yes, and the senator's going, election coming up, man, what am I gonna do? These people want it passed, they want a budget, I don't know what to do. So he's gotta make his mind up, and he's listening to the voters, okay? So, and let's just keep it going. It passes. The House passes, but it's a little bit different. So both bills have passed, but one is not they're not the same. So what happens next? Yeah.
Conference committee.
There you go. A joint conference committee. Some senators, some representatives get together and hammer out their differences so they have one bill. Then it comes back to the Senate and House. They vote on it again, send it to the governor. The governor, well, let's not use the current governor because he has all kinds of money, okay? Millions and millions of dollars. But a poor governor going, crap, I can't afford it. I need the money, so I'm going to veto it. Okay? He vetoes it. Do you have any recourse at all?
Can we go back to the Senate and vote?
What's that called? Ah, there you
Override
go.
the veto.
Override veto. So in the fall, sometimes September, October, the General Assembly will come back together and say, okay, here's 4 vetoes of the governor. Let's talk about them and see if we can override them. Okay? And you need somebody to override it. Okay? Hector, thank you. Here. What's okay, this is your from Oklahoma Boys. Okay. Okay. A couple of things, and we're getting ready to wrap this up. Okay, hang in there. Some new laws, at least recent new laws. One is, and I think it's a great law. And most of you may already have heard about it, I would hope so anyway. Underage drinkers who call 911 for a friend in medical need will have immunity from criminal charges. Okay? The law is designed to encourage teens not to avoid calling for emergency help for fear of being arrested. How many of you are aware of Penn State? There you go. Good. Here was a case, and that was just negligence. That fraternity, I think it's Beta Theta Pi. It has been banned from campus forever. About 12 or 15 of the fraternity members are on trial, or are going to trial. Okay? A young pledge was being, they were being harassed, well, not harassed, hazed, which in fraternities is not uncommon for pledges. Forced to drink an ungodly amount of alcohol, fell down some stairs, laid there for several hours, got up, moved around, and laid back down, In about 10, 12 hours, finally somebody said, we gotta do something about this. And they called 911. Guy in the hospital was dead. Okay? So if you're ever in that situation, you know, don't be afraid. I mean, you're immune from the law, or from being arrested. Okay? It's just a sad situation. And I think it's a good law that, hey, help them out. Don't be afraid. Help the person out, save their life. How many of you play athletics? Okay, you're probably familiar with this one because this has just been implemented. All Illinois schools must have a concussion oversight team to develop a protocol for student athletes, including education and recovery time. You know, there was a time where, and I'm sure you may have heard it, oh, coach, I just got my bell rung. Or the coach said, you're okay. You just got your bell rung. Hang in there, we'll put you right back in. Well, many of you have read about some of these pro athletes that have concussion after concussion, and then down the road, depression, and several of them have committed suicide. It's a major, major problem. Okay, what's going to happen? School discipline. Suspensions and expulsions in public schools will be curtailed. Zero tolerance can no longer be the rule in schools. Administrators will be required to try every option before expelling a student or imposing an out-of-school expulsion. You've all heard of zero tolerance. You know, the kid in 3rd grade comes to school with a nail file. That's a weapon. Oh, you're expelled for 3 days. You know, a kid in 3rd grade would, I guess he was a cycle. Zero tolerance, and that's just it. There's no leeway, so this gives them a little leeway. Sexual orientation change efforts with a person younger than 18 is prohibited. Advertising that represents homosexuality as a mental illness is also prohibited, okay, in schools. You hear about some of these things called conversion therapy. Okay? Can't do it. Okay, can't do it. Then in the civics course, okay, talked about that. Mandates that the required 2 years of social studies, at least one semester must be civics. How many of you have required more than 2 years of social studies? Yeah, most schools it's what, 3 years? Another one, poor performing schools, prohibits the Illinois Board of Education from establishing different performance standards based on race or ethnicity. Thank you. Okay, so they can't, just because, okay, a minority school, okay, you don't have to meet these standards, we'll lower the standards for you. Can't do it. And my personal favorite is we have now an official pie for the state of Illinois. And what is it? Pumpkin. Anybody from Wharton? Pumpkin capital of the world, isn't it? At least Illinois. So if you go to the store and here's a can of pumpkin, 75% of it comes from Morton, Illinois. Whoa. Okay? Big time. Yes, sir.
What about California or Ohio or Indiana? They have a higher too.
Some of them do. Some of them do. I couldn't tell you. Okay, two last things. One. If you feel, don't be afraid to write your senator or representative. Write them if you're passionate about something, don't be afraid to write them. One, spell their name right. Okay, if you write them. Say, hey, I think you're doing a decent job. There's this bill that is coming up, or this bill that you voted on that I really felt that you should have. I'm against it, and I would encourage you not to vote for it. Now, it would be helpful if you wait till you're 18. Because if you're under 18, what's the downside of it? You don't vote, so he's gonna look at that and go, this person's 16, yeah, I don't care, I'll wait. Most of you will be 18 in the next election, okay? November 2018, how many won't be 18? Not very many, okay? So, now, the one thing don't do is write and threaten. If you vote for this bill, I'm coming by your house with a shotgun and blow your head off. They frown on that. And the police will be knocking at your door very quickly saying, we need to talk.
What about all those people that say, oh, I thought about putting a bomb on the White House? Trump was-"
Well, and
They're not gonna be prosecuted, are they?
well, they will be investigated. They will. The Secret Service, and I'll give you a personal story. I work with Boys Nation. I'm on the staff of Boys Nation. I don't know if Jim was there. Well, it's been a few years ago. We were in the White House getting ready to meet, I think it was President Bush. And we were in the East Wing, in the big ballroom in the East Wing. And standing around, and there's 98 young men, Boys State senators, and then the staff, about 20, 25 staff. And we're waiting on the president to come talk to us and shake hands, get pictures taken, that kind of stuff. And there's Secret Service standing around, but they've investigated us. We have to send the organization, the American Legion, sends all our names, our social security numbers, everything. And they do background checks on us. So that when we walk up to the White House to go inside, there's a person there checking, they have to have an ID checking our name on it. So it's all been done weeks ahead of time, so that they know us. So we're in there, and we're standing around talking, there's a few Secret Service scattered around, not very many, because once you're in there, they realize that you're not much of a threat. But one young man, and I have no clue, and we still don't know what he was saying, but he was talking, and one of the kids said, well, he was talking about when he shook hands with the president, he was going to tell him this and this and this. And while we're waiting on the president, a couple of Secret Servicemen come up to, where's so-and-so? Oh, he's right here. Young man, come with us. Secret Service has no sense of humor. They took him out, and we're going, what the heck happened? And they took him out. President, we lined up, and the president came in, talked to us for a few minutes, and we shook hands with him. He took a picture with us. And thanked us, and he left, and then they herded us out of the White House, and he's outside, standing there with a Secret Service person waiting. Never got to meet the president, never shook hands with him. Don't know what he said, but it was like, okay. And when you said, what about those people that say, I'm gonna put a bomb under the White House and blow it up? Social media, they will check on you. Now, they may not come specifically to your house, but they're going to do some background check and see, is this really a threat, or are you just mouthing off? If they see it as a bit of a threat, they're going to come by and talk to you. Now, they might not arrest you, they might, okay? But you want to, and especially social media, you guys are smart enough, and you've heard the stories of putting things on social media. It never goes, I'm going to delete it. It never goes away, okay? It never goes away, okay? Lastly, when you get back home, really would appreciate it if you would find out who sponsored you, $250. Some organization, some person. Organizations fundraise. You all, I asked you earlier, you all fundraise. How many candy bars do you need to sell to get $250? A lot of them. Usually about 500. Well, more than that. But anyway, write them a thank you note. Thanking them for sending me. If it wasn't quite what you thought, don't tell them it was a bad deal. Just here, the key word, Boys State was very interesting. Now, you're not saying it was good or bad. You're using it kind of it was very interesting. Thank you for sending me. If it was a good time, go into detail. But next year, the Legion is going to go back. Your local Legion posts are going to go back to the Legion. They're going to go back to sponsors and say, hey, you sponsored a boy last year? Yeah, I got a great letter from them. Sure, here's the money. So really would appreciate it if you, I know sit down and actually write a thank you note. For 50 cents, mail it, okay, and keep our sponsors happy. Gentlemen, have a great senior year. Good luck in college.
You're in Coleman Wall.